Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the show tonight, a massive farmer panchayat rally in Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh. Farmer leaders claim that it was attended by 10 lakh farmers from across the country and their supporters, and that this may have been the biggest farmer rally ever. The message is clear. We will fight the BJP in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. BJP leaders have been watching this very closely. Varun Gandhi says it's time to listen carefully to what the farmers have to say. On the show tonight, with farmers now gathering in massive numbers and stating their political objectives, will the UP and Uttarakhand elections be decided by the farmer factor? Also on the show tonight, Panchayat, the RSS journal, hits out at Infosys, a 4-page cover story on the Bengaluru-based firm founded by Narayan Murthy, refers to them and asks whether an anti-national power is trying to hurt India's economic interests through it. Several opposition leaders hit out at this. We're joined by the Congress MP Jairam Ramesh. But first, let's look at the massive farmer rally which has taken place in Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh. We are joined by the farmer leader Rakesh Tikait, who is very much at the center of this. Rakesh ji, thank you very much. आप हमारे साथ हैं. आपका एजेंडा जो है,
धन्यवाद जी.
किसान मजदूर महापंचायत का जो एजेंडा था, आपने कहा था, कई किसान लीडर्स ने कहा था कि आप बीजेपी के खिलाफ इलेक्शंस लड़ेंगे या तो कम से कम उनके खिलाफ लड़ेंगे. तो अगर आप उनके खिलाफ लड़ेंगे तो किस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को आप समर्थन देंगे?
हमने कहा कि हम किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को समर्थन देंगे.
तो आप अगर बीजेपी के खिलाफ उत्तर
प्रदेश ये कहा है,
जी बताइए.
हमने ये कहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री ने ये कहा कि 2022 में आमदनी दुगनी हो जाएगी, फसलों के रेट दुगने हो जाएंगे. जब फसलों के रेट दुगने होंगे जब भी तो आमदनी दुगनी होगी. हम तो इस एजेंडे के साथ में जा रहे हैं कि 1 जनवरी से हमारे फसलों के रेट दुगने होंगे. हम तो इस एजेंडे के साथ में जा रहे हैं कि उत्तर प्रदेश में क्या 5 साल में कोई महंगाई नहीं बढ़ी? क्या गन्ने के रेट नहीं बढ़ना चाहिए? क्या गन्ने का जो हमारा 12,000 करोड़ रुपए का भुगतान है वो नहीं मिलना चाहिए? क्या उत्तर प्रदेश में देश की सबसे महंगी बिजली नहीं है? क्या वहां पे फसलों की खरीद नहीं होनी चाहिए? क्या 3 कानून जो भारत सरकार लेकर आई है उसमें एमएसपी गारंटी नहीं होनी चाहिए?
नहीं, पर राकेश जी,
कानून में वापसी नहीं
संयुक्त किसान मोर्चा का प्रेस रिलीज में साफ तौर से कहा गया है कि आप कम्युनल और कास्टिस्ट पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ द बीजेपी और आरएसएस के खिलाफ है. इसलिए मेरा जो प्रश्न था, मेरा जो क्वेश्चन था वो यही है कि आप किसको समर्थन देंगे? आप खुद एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी नहीं हो तो आप किसको समर्थन देंगे यूपी चुनाव में?
किसी को समर्थन नहीं दे रहे.
ओके.
हमारा नहीं, अरे हमारा कहाँ समर्थन किसी को है? अभी क्या चुनाव है? जिस दिन चुनाव आ जाएंगे, चुनाव घोषणा हो जाएगी, उस दिन चुनाव की बात कर लो. अभी तो 3 कानून की बात कर लो.
तो आप
अभी तो जो देश में इशू है उसकी बात कर लेते हैं
जी. पूरा
देश बिखरा है, अभी तो उसकी बात कर लो ना.
नहीं, ये मैं जो पढ़ रहा हूँ, आपका प्रेस रिलीज, संयुक्त किसान मोर्चा का प्रेस रिलीज के बारे में मैं कह रहा हूँ. ये सवाल आपका प्रेस रिलीज से है. आप कह रहे हो कि आपके फार्मर्स जो इश्यूज है, जो 3 रूल्स जो है, फार्मर लॉज जो है, उनको वापस लेना चाहिए. मैं समझ गया हूँ. मैं सिर्फ आपको ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि आपने कई और मुद्दे भी उठाए हैं. जैसे आपने कहा है कि हिंदू मुस्लिम यूनिटी को बढ़ाना चाहिए, कम्युनल राइट्स को नहीं अलाउ करेंगे आप. तो ये एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का लैंग्वेज है, राइट? तो आप एक पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा लेके आप आए हैं या सिर्फ किसान फार्मर इश्यूज को रेज करेंगे?
नहीं. अच्छा, अगर हम देश में हिंदू मुस्लिम को जोड़ने की बात करते हैं तो ये पॉलिटिकल लैंग्वेज है क्या? हम अगर एक मंच पे हिंदू मुसलमान और सिखों को सबको लेकर आ रहे हैं तो ये पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है. हम जातीय सम्मेलन नहीं कर रहे, हम जातीय सम्मेलन नहीं करते तो ये पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है. हम देश को जोड़ने का सवाल पे हम एक हैं तो ये पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है. अगर हमने ये कह दिया कि रेल क्यों बिकी देश में तो ये पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है.
नहीं, पर
ऐसा
आपने
तो नहीं
ये भी
होना
कहा
चाहिए
है
देश में कि
कि
आप जो
किसान
चाहोगे आप
मजदूर
बेचोगे।
agenda will triumph over the communal and casteist politics of the BJP RSS. ये जरूर एक पॉलिटिकल स्टेटमेंट है।
नहीं तो वो जब ये करते हैं,
ठीक है,
यही तो करते हैं, झगड़ा करवाने का काम कौन करता है?
ठीक है।
भाई
तो
आज पूरा सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या कहा? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये कहा है कि टीवी के ऊपर बहस नहीं होनी चाहिए ये कास्टिज्म वाली, ये कहा सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने। और सुप्रीम कोर्ट को बिल्कुल डायरेक्ट ऑर्डर करवाते हो कि आप चैनल के लोग भी और सरकार के आप इस तरह के आप बहस नहीं करवाओगे देश में, यही तो कहा है। अरे अगर आपको ये दूरियां मिटानी है तो सरकार ये प्लान बनाए कि अगर देश में मदरसे हैं कि उसमें 30% बच्चे हिंदू के पढ़ेंगे, और अगर दूसरे आरएसएस के या संघ के स्कूल है तो उसमें दूसरे उसके जातियों के पढ़ेंगे। जातियां अगर खत्म करनी है तो आप ये चीजें लेकर आओ ना, आप उसमें आप तोड़ने की बात ना करो कोई भी। इनसे देश कमजोर होता है। जब जातियों में देश बटेगा, जब धर्मों में देश बटेगा तो देश कमजोर होता है। आप एजुकेशन पे ध्यान दो, आप हेल्थ पे ध्यान दो, आपको ध्यान देना चाहिए ट्रांसपोर्ट, उस पर ध्यान देना चाहिए, कैसे विकास होगा उस पर ध्यान देना चाहिए, आप रोजगार पे ध्यान दो, तो इन पे ध्यान देना चाहिए सरकारों को।
तो राकेश जी, अगर तीन जो फार्मर लॉ है जिसके खिलाफ आप लोग हैं, अगर सेंटर इन तीन कानूनों को वापस लेते या इसमें बदलाव लाते जो आप एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, तो ये जो आपका प्रोटेस्ट है जो 1 साल से ज्यादा टाइम से चल रहा है, ये खत्म होगा?
एमएसपी पे गारंटी कानून बनेगा जी। एक कमेटी बनेगी जो हर मसलों पे भारत सरकार के लोग और कमेटी के लोग बातचीत करेंगे। 3 कानून ये वापसी ले लेते हैं, एमएसपी पे गारंटी कानून देते हैं, ये आंदोलन खत्म हो जाएगा। उसमें एक कमेटी बन जाएगी जो हर मसलों पे भारत सरकार पे समय समय पे बातचीत करती रहेगी।
और अगर ये कानून वापस नहीं लेते, बदलाव नहीं करते,
यही भारत सरकार से,
तो आप ये आंदोलन जो है ये जारी रहेगा?
भाई बदलाव, ये आंदोलन भी जारी रहेगा और देश में बड़ी बड़ी मीटिंगें करेंगे, हम पूरे देश में जाएंगे और पूरे देश में क्या आज हालात हो रही है उसके बारे में बताएंगे हम।
राकेश जी, ये बताइए, आज का जो आंदोलन था, आज का जो महापंचायत था, उसमें बताया जा रहा है कि पूरे देश से किसान लोग आए और शायद 10 लाख किसान या उनके समर्थक आ चुके हैं, उनके फैमिली शायद आ चुके हैं। ये हमारे इतिहास का सबसे बड़ा किसान महापंचायत रह चुका है।
हमने ये कहा कि इसमें ना पूरे देश से किसान आया था, इसमें पंजाब के पार्ट्स था, पंजाब का हर जिले से इसमें प्रतिनिधि था, हरियाणा से इसमें लोग थे, और उत्तर प्रदेश से पश्चिम से इसमें ज्यादा थे, पूर्वांचल से कम इसमें लोग थे क्योंकि ट्रेन की व्यवस्था नहीं थी। कर्नाटक, तमिलनाडु, वहां से 55, 66, 88 लोग, 2-2 लोग वहां पर थे। अच्छा। तो इसमें जोड़ने का काम करा कि पूरे देश का एक सामूहिक था, उन्होंने अपना प्रतिनिधि यहाँ पे भेजा। और 10 लाख आप कह रहे हैं, करीब 20 लाख से ज्यादा लोग थे और 20 लाख परिवार इसको आप मानकर चलोगे तो अगर एक फैमिली में आप 5 लोग और 10 लोग मानते हो तो ये करीब 1.5 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोग इसमें बैठते हैं।
राकेश जी, ये बताइए, आपने मुजफ्फरनगर क्यों चुना?
आपके सबके सहयोग से हुआ।
आपने मुजफ्फरनगर क्यों चुना है? क्योंकि जैसे आप जानते हैं, कई कुछ साल पहले मुजफ्फरनगर में जो दंगे हुए थे, वहां शायद 60 से ज्यादा लोग मारे गए थे, तो आपका इसमें कोई मैसेज था?
जी नहीं, हमने मुजफ्फरनगर इसलिए चुना कि हम पूर्ण रूप से शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से सभी धर्मों के लोग, सभी जातियों के लोग इसमें सहयोग देते हैं। और मुजफ्फरनगर तो पूरा एक मोहब्बत नगर है, हमने वो मैसेज वहां से दिया है मुजफ्फरनगर की धरती से। टिकैत साहब का मुजफ्फरनगर जन्मस्थली रही है, एक वे पूरे देश के बड़े किसान लीडर रहे हैं, तो मुजफ्फरनगर को इसलिए चुना कि सब लोग वहां पर आए। और हम जो ये भेदभाव सरकारों ने बीच में हमारे दरार पाड़ी है, उसी मुजफ्फरनगर की जमीन से हम इसको जोड़ने का काम करेंगे और हम पूरे देश भर में इसी इशू को लेकर जाएंगे। और हमने बार बार कहा है कि जो टिकैत साहब के साथ में नारा लगता था अल्लाहू अकबर, हर हर महादेव के नारे, वाहेगुरु के नारे तो वे एक ही मंच से लगते थे
जी।
तो वे नारे फिर लगेंगे देश में।
ओके।
और देश फिर विकास की राह पर चलेगा।
ऑल राइट, ये नारे फिर लगेंगे देश में। राकेश टिकैत जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने हमसे बात की। थैंक यू वेरी मच इंडीड।
धन्यवाद जी साहब।
Well, let's take a look at the scale of the Mahapanchayat which took place today. The numbers were absolutely astounding, and given the numbers and the support and the selection of Muzaffarnagar itself and the contents of their press release, which in fact were far more than just farmer issues, it does really beg the question, what exactly is the farmer protests? Where exactly is it headed? Particularly with elections, key elections, for example, in Uttar Pradesh, more than any other state, very much on the cards.
A mega show of strength by farmers at the historic state ground of Muzaffarnagar to the streets on Sunday, making the point that their movement is as strong as ever and will continue. All leaders of the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, including Naresh and Rakesh Tikayat, were present on stage. Even nearby flyovers were occupied by farmers. The strategy to underline their strength from the stronghold of farm leaders in Mahendra Singh Tikayat and Chaudhary Charan Singh. At the epicenter of communal riots in 2013, Rakesh Tikayat was seen vowing Hindu-Muslim unity.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! ये नारे लगते थे, हर हर महादेव और अल्लाहू अकबर के नारे इसी धरती से लगते थे।
Farm leaders present also said that they would appeal door to door, asking people not to vote for the BJP in UP.
ये देश हमारा है, ये प्रदेश हमारा है, ये जिले हमारे हैं। इस तरह की अगर सरकारें देश में होंगी, तो ये दंगे करवाने का काम करेगी। ये नारे हमेशा लगते रहेंगे, दंगा यहाँ पर नहीं होगा, ये तोड़ने का काम करेंगे।
Balia Khap chief and Rakesh Tikayat's older brother Naresh Tikayat was also heard blaming BJP for the riots.
हमारे साथ में धोखा हुआ 2013 में, हम समझ नहीं पाए थे, इन्होंने हिंदू मुस्लिम दंगे करवा के हमारे पे तो वोट छीन ली।
The farmers have announced Kisan Mahapanchayats in UP from the Prime Minister's Lok Sabha seat Varanasi to Chief Minister Yogi's Gorakhpur. Rashtriya Lokdal Chief Jayant Chaudhary wanted to rain flowers on the farmers with a helicopter, but the administration did not give permission.
क्या अन्नदाता भगवान का रूप? हमने निर्णय लिया कि हेलीकॉप्टर का प्रयोग कर आज इस महापंचायत में जुटे किसानों पर हम आसमान से पुष्प की वर्षा करवाएंगे।
No opposition leader was seen at the Kisan Mahapanchayat, but banners of all opposition parties were seen in Muzaffarnagar town. With Saurabh Shukla in Muzaffarnagar, Sana Marwaha for NDTV.
Well, Desh Ratna Nigam joins us now for his views on this massive Muzaffarnagar Kisan Mazdoor Mahapanchayat. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us. Did this sound to you to be more of a, almost an election issue or a pre-election issue as much as it was about farmer rights?
Vishnu, in fact, you are absolutely correct. My answer is in the affirmative. And if you look at the shifting of base from the borders to Muzaffarnagar in UP itself shows it is more political rather than it has to do anything with the farm laws. Especially in the context of government giving so many concessions and so many opportunities to them. Even Supreme Court appointed a committee and then they refused to even participate in that committee. That was an expert committee. So this of my way or the highway will not, work. And especially it has become more political because of the elections in UP, and people are seeing through it. It's not that people don't understand. The voters are very smart today, and the entire issue which is being raked up in the name. If you ask these people what is wrong with the farm laws, in fact they have no answer. That is the only thing. There is no political analysis.
But sir, be that as it may, I'm just trying to understand, is the BJP not really worried about the numbers that you're seeing? Some reports say 10 lakh, he said 20 lakh. Even if you go by 10 lakh, it is very large. For example, leaders like Varun Gandhi say that let us sit down and let us look, a strong Western UP leader, let us sit down, let us look at what that, you know, they are our flesh and blood. Let us look very carefully at what the farmers are saying. Is the BJP not worried ahead of the election?
No, it's not question of being worried. I am sure BJP will come out with a strategy, and they may have a strategy and maybe also working on the ground. I'm not a spokesperson for the BJP.
Right.
But the fact remains, the people who are being misguided on the question of farm laws, that is the whole issue. And some of these people, let me tell you, may not be there on their own free volition and will. In Punjab, we saw what is happening in villages where people were forced to go to Delhi borders. And there were
But
clear
there's no
examples.
evidence of that over here, sir.
Yes.
There's no evidence of that.
No. I'm not saying evidence. Those have been a trend. I'm saying if you investigate the matter, you might find those things. But the issue is more political here, and it has to be dealt politically. And so far as merits on the farm laws are concerned, whether appeal to the civil court or land cannot be mortgaged or sold, or stubble burning concessions that the government of India has given, or direct subsidy that government of India is also, discussing. Those are, things which the government wants to, in fact, have already said that they will give. But the fact is, you can't say my way, the highway. This is the will of the parliament. The elected people of the country have enacted this law. Either the Supreme Court will invalidate it or hold its validity. And you have to respect that. You can't, hold the highways at ransom, stop the traffic. I mean, somebody has to explain it to them and understand that you have to be on a negotiating table. And this is, let me tell you, this is simple politics related to UP elections.
It certainly sounds that may well be the issue, which would make it a very major development politically as well. Thanks very much for being with us. Let's see how far this goes. They've called a Bharat Bandh on the 27th of September as well. Thanks very much for being with us. A piece which has emerged in the Panchayat with the BJP's ideological mentor, the RSS, has distanced itself, in fact, from that piece published in their mouthpiece that questioned whether an anti-national conspiracy could be behind glitches on India's tax filing websites handled by the information technology giant Infosys. In the latest edition of the RSS's mouthpiece, whether anti-national power is trying to hurt India's economic interests through it. Today, the RSS spokesperson Sunil Ambedkar tweeted that the views expressed in the piece are not of the organizations but of the authors. But as the publisher of the Panchayat, is the RSS not accountable for the message it sends when a piece like this appears? Jairam Ramesh, the senior Congress leader, has been tweeting about this. He joins us now. Thanks, Mr. Ramesh, very much for being with us. It wasn't really an opinion piece, was it, Mr. Ramesh? It seemed to be a rather direct attack on one of India's finest companies and on Narayan Murthy, whose contribution to Indian industry has been monumental. Should there be a divide? Should there be some wisdom whereby companies are not targeted in this manner? How does it help us?
Well, I speak not as a congressman. I speak as an independent professional who's worked in government, worked outside government, and as an economic commentator. I think this attack on Infosys is extraordinary, it's unprecedented, it's unwarranted, and it's atrocious. Whatever problems that the finance ministry may have with Infosys on the GST platform or the income tax platform is between the Ministry of Finance and Infosys to resolve. But for an RSS publication to resort to a personalized attack on not only the company, but also some of the most esteemed founders of the company, I think is just absolutely condemnable. And in fact, the article is anti-national.
Mr. Ramesh, the fact that they've now actually come out with a statement, they've tweeted saying that the views in the article don't represent the RSS's perspective. Is that something you accept?
This is typical RSS, good cop, bad cop routine. Why did they allow this article to appear? It's a 4-page article. Yeah. It's a vituperative article, personalized article, which has appeared in the party mouthpiece. So, I'm afraid this defense by the RSS spokesman is completely, it just doesn't hold any ground. It doesn't hold any water.
Because the publisher has to be accountable for what goes on to their publication.
Coming after a similar vituperative attack on the Tatas,
Yes.
for example, by no less a person than Mr. Piyush Goyal,
Yeah.
who is an industry and commerce minister, shows that, the relationship between this government and industry is a relationship between this government and a few cronies. It's not a healthy relationship between government and business. It's a relationship between government and a few businessmen.
It's strange. One of the groups you named has actually been a very large contributor financially to the BJP in the past. That may not be.
I found it really, I found it very demeaning and diminishing personally to see Mr. Narayan Murthy being attacked the way he was attacked. I mean, if I were to name who are the 3 or 4 makers of modern industrial entrepreneurial India, Narayan Murthy would be amongst the top.
Yep.
I mean, he's a man who's built Infosys, a man of extraordinary ethical values, and for him to be accused of supporting Naxalites and the Tukde Tugde gang and the left liberals, I mean, this is completely bogus, but this is par for the course as far as the RSS and the BJP is concerned.
Yep. This was
this
one of the.
Is not incidental. It's not accidental. It's
Right.
not incidental.
Right. One of the quotes in that article was, one of the promoters of Infosys is Nandan Nilekani, who contested Lok Sabha polls on a Congress ticket. The Congress's founder, N.R. Narayana Murthy's opposition to the incumbent government's ideology is not hidden from anyone. Infosys appoints people subscribing to a certain ideology on important posts. If such a company gets important government tenders, won't there be a threat of influence from China and the ISI? I found this to be the most astounding statement.
I have known Nandan Nilekani for over 40 years. We went to the same school, the same college. We were part of the quiz team. We worked together. Yes, he was the Congress candidate in 2014, but he took retirement from politics after that election. He has been called upon by the Modi government to serve on various expert committees. He's on an expert committee on open e-commerce, which has been set up by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. So, Mr. Nilekani is a professional. He's chairman of the board of Infosys.
Does it sadden you, Mr. Ramesh, that NASSCOM hasn't come out with a statement?
One of the very former senior executives of Infosys, Mr. Mohandas Pai, he has tweeted and saying that this attack betrays a complete lack of understanding in the manner software contracts, big software projects are executed.
NASSCOM hasn't come out with a statement, CII hasn't come out with a statement, FICCI hasn't come out with a statement condemning this.
What can I say? I can't speak on behalf of Indian industry. They should speak up. They should speak out. I mean, of course, business must follow the rules of the land. Of course, business must follow, labor laws, environment laws, and all the laws that have been passed by Parliament. But this type of an attack that Panchajanya has resorted to, and of the attack that Mr. Piyush Goyal mounted a couple of days ago, I think is something that Indian business must stand up. It's their credibility, their integrity is being questioned. I don't want to make this into a political issue. I mean, I'm a Congress MP, but I speak not as a Congress MP alone. I speak as a professional Indian, as somebody who knows Infosys fairly well, who's worked in government, who's executed contracts. Incidentally, I was the rural development minister when the Aadhaar project was launched, and Mr. Nilekani and Ram Sevak Sharma, who is now working on the national health, CoWIN and other projects. I worked very closely with them. We had problems. We resolved the problems bilaterally. We resolved the problems amicably. But this is absolutely no way of treating a company which has really transformed India's image after 1991.
Mr. Ramesh, the article said, and you mentioned this, Naxalites, leftists and Tukde gang, they are apparently of that, they're apparently like that. NASSCOM, FICCI, CII hasn't condemned this. Is there a sense in that article, and perhaps that's what the RSS feels, that if you're corporate India, then you need to subscribe to a particular ideology? And if you aren't, if you don't do that, then you're Naxalites, leftists, you're not like us, and therefore tukre again.
Who are
Either
these
get
people
on the highway or our highway, or you're not one of us. Is that the sense?
Who are these people to give certificates of patriotism? I mean, the RSS never participated in the Quit India movement. The founder of the Jan Sangh did not participate in the Quit India movement. These people did not participate in the freedom movement, and now they're giving certificates of patriotism and nationalism. Yeah. I think, the Prime Minister must stand up and must say that this is not something that the government subscribes to, if at all, he means it. But, Vishnu, my view is that this government, the RSS and the BJP, operates on a good cop, bad cop routine. There's a good cop and there's a bad cop, right? So they set up Panchajanya to raise all these real bogus issues, in my view. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this is one way of intimidating. I've often described, this government swears by FDI, but FDI is not foreign direct investment. FDI stands for fear, deception, and intimidation. It's fear, deception, and intimidation. That's the real FDI. And Indian industry must worry about this FDI.